That sounds like an old country bluegrass band. That's exactly good. That's my buddy Devin over there playing.
Whoa!
Devin, what's happening, buddy?
What's up, Mark? What's going on, man?
Not much. How you guys doing today, man? It's sounding good. What are y'all doing out here?
We're just doing a little rehearsal. We got a couple private shows coming up, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I came by to talk to Larry and Tina about the Bluffton May River oysters, and heard you guys picking up here. You sounding good.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go back down there, talk to Larry, maybe get some oysters, go back to the studio, and cook them up for everybody.
All right. Sounds fun, man.
All right, man.
See you. Good to see you, man.
Take
Yes,
care.
sir.
Sounding great. Man, it is a beautiful day on the May River. I'd rather be out in a boat. But we're here at the Bluffton Oyster Company with my friends Larry and Tina Toomer. They have 4 generations of ownership here, and they've been running the oyster beds out here for many, many years and supplying a lot of local people with oysters and shrimp. So we're gonna go inside and talk to Larry and Tina right now. Come on with me. Can you guys take us to the back and tell me what you got going on here? What's
Sure, like I'm sure you remember, Mark, this is our retail area.
Yes,
this is when
I've been here often.
Customers come in and get a pound of shrimp or some oysters,
shrimp
clams,
beautiful,
or
by the way. Yes.
crab meat or whatever.
Fresh fish, yeah.
And back here is
crab claws. That's
back
nice.
here is kind of like where the heavy lifting and the heavy work
Well, I don't
goes
want
on.
to be out here too long then.
Yeah.
So right out of
So welcome. This is the shucking room.
Okay.
As we refer to it, this is where, you know, this building was built like 60-some years ago here. Before it, there was another one right beside it that got destroyed in 1940-something.
But it was family owned at that point as well?
There's been different families that have owned the facility here.
Okay.
But these tables were built as part of the original building, and the ladies stand over there where you are. You're in the work zone there.
I'm
more on the spectator side here. But we, you know, for years and years, we bring oysters in every day and pile these tables up higher than your head.
Wow.
You know, 50 years ago, that's the way it was done. So the ladies would shuck the oysters right there, drop the shells down in the holes. Shells would go here. We'd load them back up with new oysters after they'd shucked them and got the meat out.
Right.
And you know, take the shells out, and then we reseed the beds with the discarded shells.
So the old shells you dump on there and they'll replenish themselves out there?
Right. What happens is the old shells give the oysters, when they're spawning, they call it a spat.
Right.
But it's the same as a sperm or an egg or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
That they put out like millions of them, and that needs something to stick to as it comes out and starts to grow in the water table. As it settles, it needs something to call home or a foundation.
So you're actually helping to preserve the oyster beds that are out in the river?
Absolutely. If you continue to take and not replant and reseed your beds, eventually you will have no oysters.
We deplete the oyster population.
Right. So,
it's like farming.
Right.
Yep.
We're just farming the river.
Right. And you can't keep planting corn after year after year. You have to alternate your stuff, and you got to take care of your.
Yep. You have to cultivate, because if you don't cultivate and harvest the oysters, then you end up with a lot of small oysters, and you want to leave the small ones.
So you're actually helping get quality oysters as well. So
absolutely.
This is why people come here.
Absolutely, and you know, in a lot of areas they have problems where they don't put shell back, and then eventually they delete their resource.
Right.
So that's what we do. We plant back approximately twice as many as required by law, but that's one of the reasons that we're the only full-time oyster shucking facility in the state of South Carolina for over 25 years now.
Wow, that's amazing. What else? Where else you got out here? What else happens in this location?
Well, I mean, we use these same tables at time for picking crab meat.
Okay.
Or if I come in with a lot of shrimp on the big boat, then we put the shrimp here. We'll head the shrimp, peel the shrimp for the restaurant, whatever.
Where's the big boat?
It's the big boat's on the back side.
Can
come
you
on
take
back
me out there?
Sure, come on back. This back room is just kind of like a delivery room where we come off the boats, out off the dock, and through here into refrigeration. So this is my office out here.
Well,
Mark.
you've got the best view of anybody I've ever seen for an office, man. This is amazing.
So naturally, Mark, you know, this is where everything comes off out of the water.
This is a beautiful view
onto
out
the
here.
land.
It's amazing out here.
Yeah.
You got a huge boat out here. That's your shrimp boat. This is
Oh,
a
yeah.
family-owned boat.
Yeah, that's
It says Daddy's Girls on it.
Yeah, we named it after our 3 daughters, Jessie, Jackie, and Jamie.
Okay.
It's quite an honor to have Daddy's Girls on there.
I think that's fantastic.
People you know, my family, you know, has been here since 1913.
Well, you've had, yeah. This is like,
you know,
you now have 4 generations. Well, you
right
that have worked.
And yeah, well, our 14 grandkids are yet to come.
Will be the 5th generation coming
no doubt.
in. Yeah.
But
So-
my grandfather actually opened an oyster house on the island in 1913.
Wow.
So we're 115 or so years. Of,
Not we, but the business.
Yeah, I feel like it sometimes. Yeah. But you know, that's the same business, doing the same business.
Right.
You know,
That's
boats
awesome.
change, buildings change.
And you're able
all
to do that,
but-
and you got the May River out here, and you're replenishing them with the shells, and everything out there. You're taking care of the river.
Self-sustaining. Yes.
And it's just a clean river, and you guys are a big part of that in helping to preserve that. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Fighting for water quality is our main objective, and we've been doing it for 30, 40 years or more.
It seems like you got a lot of support around the town, and people are pretty okay with setting the regulations and trying to keep it as the way it is.
Yes.
Because I, for one, have gone out and harvested myself, and it's a blessing to be able to do so.
Sure.
It's a lot easier getting them from you, though.
Well, that's our biggest goal is to preserve what God gave us as far as water quality, and you know, this food that He puts out there. If you're willing to go and work for it, you can not only just bring home dinner, but you can actually make a living if you're willing to go through the hard work.
Right. Your grocery
that's
bill's
involved.
a little bit less if you actually go and harvest it yourself, right?
Right. And we want our grandkids and future generations to have what we are so blessed to have.
And it's amazing having that freshness on your tables.
There's nothing better.
And we as chefs appreciate that.
Yes.
So.
It's easy to cook when you start with something really good.
You can't screw it up, you know, if you don't mask it with anything. Just keep it natural.
Don't do too much.
That's right. That's
you
right.
Got it.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me out here and
Sure.
teaching me the ways, and of course through the years you've been a mentor of mine and learning about the May River and things, and I appreciate that. So thank you again. But before I go, I do want to grab some of those oysters and shrimp,
Certainly.
so I can go back to the kitchen and cook those up for everybody.
Sure, man.
Appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. Good to see you
Thank
again.
you.
Good to
Thank
see
you,
Mark.
Tina.
You're very welcome.
It was a beautiful day out on the May River, spending some time with my friends Larry and Tina Toomer, and being there on a day that actually Low Country Boyle Bluegrass Band was out there playing. That was just incredible, rehearsing for a party that they were going to be at. So we picked up some of these oysters from the May River, from Larry and Tina, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to make some blackened oysters today. So what we've got is we've got a 50-50 blend of Worcestershire sauce and water, and then we're going to go with some flour here for the dredge. We're going to do a little flour, some Cajun seasoning. We've got a little salt. Okay, and then we're going to mix this together. This is going to be the dredge. There's that. And then we're going to make a little salad to go on top of them. We got a little diced red onion, tomato, and some green bell peppers. We're going to add to that a little balsamic vinegar, a little brown sugar, a little salt, and a little bit of black pepper. Okay, we'll get a spoon and we'll stir that. We're just going to let these vegetables marinate. Once the oysters are done, we're going to put this right on top as a garnish, an edible garnish. It's going to have that nice balsamic marinated vegetables going on top of it. Next, I'm going to show you, I've got some oysters that I've shucked already, but the Bluffton oysters, the May River oysters, In South Carolina, the oysters in general, they grow in clusters. They're not individual single select oysters like you get in other locations of the country. So Larry has gone through for me and pulled out some of the singles. You don't get very many single selects like this in comparison to, like you see the clusters. There's several oysters all in one cluster, and they can come in clusters that are pretty big. And they come right out of the pluff mud. You have to wash them off really good to get that excess mud out. But to shuck an oyster, right in the back end here, you see there's a little bit of a pit right in there. So you're going to take your oyster knife and you're going to take that and wedge it right in there. Don't push in too hard. Grab it with a towel and just twist. And that shell will pop right open. And there's a membrane that you see right in here, and that's going to hold the oyster to the shell. So you want to take the knife and slide it right up along the top of the shell, open it up, and there you have it. So, and it won't release. I don't want to release them now. So otherwise we would cut them underneath, release them. So if you wanted to eat oysters on the half shell, that's the way to do it. Go ahead and lift them right on out of there. These ones we want to keep attached because we're going to cook them in the skillet and we're going to flip them over, so I don't want them to fall out. Once they're done, we can go and detach them and they'll be ready for service. So we got our oysters shucked. Now I'm going to take these, I'm going to go put them out in the freezer. The reason being is I want them to cook gently. And by that, I mean, if these are frozen and we got a nice hot skillet, we put them in the dredge, put them in the skillet. If we leave them to where they're not frozen, it's going to cook very quickly. And we want them to cook throughout, but we still want to retain some moisture. So by freezing them, they will thaw out quickly when we put them into the pan. We'll turn them back over, we'll warm the bottom side with a shell, and they'll be ready to go. We'll top them off and be ready for service. Okay, we've got our oysters to where they've firmed up a little bit. We've got a preheated skillet that we're going to put some clarified butter into. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and do a quick dredge in the Worcestershire water mix, right into our Cajun mix, and right into the skillet. Do that for each one. We're going to cook this seasoning right onto the oyster. The oysters will still be nice and juicy when they're done. We'll top them off with our little salad. And we will be eating in no time. Fuck yeah, baby. All right, we've got these where they're just about to look at that. That's perfect sear on those guys right there. See how we got that nice Cajun spice cooked into them? We're gonna turn this over. This will allow the bottom of the shell to get nice and hot. It'll warm the bottom of that oyster. Meanwhile, we can just turn this right off. We can take our salad, put a little bit onto each one. Still plump and juicy, delicious. And there we have it, blackened May River oysters. What a fantastic little appetizer we have here. Next up, we're gonna go outside and we're gonna have a low country boil. This is called Frogmore Stew down here. It could be called low country boil. It's got several names, but right now we're gonna go outside and show you some of that. So we're gonna finish out this beautiful day in sunny South Carolina over at a good friend of mine, Eric and Karen Richards' house. We're gonna be making some low country boil for them here today. The low country boil consists of shrimp, corn, sausage, potatoes, onions, shrimp. The shrimp are coming right out of the May River. They're beautiful, they're fresh, they're white shrimp. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start out here with our pot. We've got the pot going. We're gonna make the pot liquor again. Here we got water in here right now. We're gonna add some beer to that. The beer's gonna give it a nice flavor. The alcohol will cook out of it once we come to a boil here. Get those going in there, and then we're gonna go ahead and finish it off with our onions, our lemons, a lot of salt. So we got a full cup of salt going in there, kosher salt. None of this stuff is really porous, so we got to really over season the water so we can get that flavor into all this product here. So next we're going to go ahead, put our sausage, the smoked sausage in there, because what this is going to do is as this starts to cook and starts to boil, all the fat's going to come from the sausage, all the flavor from the sausage, the smoky flavor, it's going to get right into that pot liquor. Then we're going to be ready for our potatoes. So the potatoes can go in right now. We're going to cover that back up, let it come to a boil. Once we get the potatoes to where they're almost fully cooked, then we're going to go ahead and add this corn and then the shrimp last. So one of the reasons I love South Carolina and low country boil, I actually served this at my wedding. My wife and I, Carolyn, got married at a zoo. We had long picnic tables set up, very similar to the one we have here today. What I did is I asked all our family and friends to just sit down, be seated no matter where. There was no assigned seating. The reason being, we're all coming together as one, and that's what I really love about this, is everybody's going to be eating out of the same bowl, at the same table, just laughing, talking, having a great time. We really enjoy this for that reason. It brings a whole sense of family to the whole dining experience. So we've got everybody over here nestled in, waiting on the Low Country Bowl to finish before we sit down to dinner. One of the best parts about this thing too is it takes a little bit of time for those potatoes to cook, so it gives us a little time to have some refreshments as well. So we got this rolling boil now. It's looking really good. Potatoes got a little bit more time to cook here. We'll stir that up a little bit. A few minutes, it'll be time to put the corn in there. What's really cool about coming over here to my friend Eric and Karen's house today is I'm going to go home with a souvenir. This is a beer from the Charleston Animal Society. They have a contest every year, and they raise funds for the Animal Society. The funds that they raise go to help all the dogs and cats and all the rescue animals that they have. The fundraiser that they had, however, my friends Donna and Kiara of the Baelish family, they're also the owners of Garibaldi's, Anson, and the old Pink House in Savannah. They entered their dog Pip, and Pip ended up getting enough donations to actually get his face on this can of beer. All right, let's go on over and see how the potatoes are. I think these guys are all getting hungry. Ah, it's boiling good. Ah, the potatoes are ready to go. We can go ahead and add the corn now. Once the corn cooks, it shouldn't take but a few minutes for that to cook. We're going to pull some out because we do have someone who has a shellfish allergy here today, so we're going to make sure that they get something to eat too. So we'll let all this cook in here a little bit, pull some of the corn, sausage, and potatoes out, and then we'll go ahead and finish it off with the shrimp. All right, the corn's been in for about 5 minutes or so, so it's ready to go. Yeah, it's boiling nicely here. Put it in this bowl for one that has a seafood shellfish allergy here. So we're gonna make sure that they're well taken care of. Some sausage, some corn, some potatoes. Get those onions in there. Perfect, we'll set that out for them. Now we'll go ahead and we'll dump our shrimp in here. These are the shrimp, these white shrimp right out of the May River in Bluffton, South Carolina. We'll stir those up, and in about 3 or 4 minutes, these will be ready to go. We're gonna put it on the table, invite all our friends over, sit down and have a family meal together. All right, these shrimp are finished cooking now. They don't take long. They've been in for about 4 minutes, 5 minutes. We're gonna take this off, put it on the table, call everybody over for dinner. This is what it's all about. You got the newspaper down on the table. The newspaper is so we can set all our shrimp shells and the corn, everything that we want to discard, the corn cobs, the shrimp shells, it just gets all rolled up in the newspaper at the end and it gets thrown away. Hey y'all, it is ready. Come on over, let's sit down and have a family meal. We've got all my friends and family at the table now, getting ready to dig into this nice hot meal. Thank you guys for being here with us again on this beautiful sunny South Carolina day. You guys enjoy. Glad to have you with us today.